Hey, fifth grade. Today we're looking at lesson 11 from the Revolutionary War, the battles of Lexington and Concord. We have an article here that you have to read, and then this is actually for the teacher, but I'm leaving it on here because it tells you exactly how to put this together. And I really would like it if you're able to print this off and do the paper copy, because I feel like we're losing our fine motor skills if we don't. But however, if you don't have access to a computer, what you can do is you can put these in the order, the events in order over here. You can just type it in. But what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to split your screen in order to do that, okay? All right, so the battles of Lexington and Concord. General Thomas Gage, the new royal governor of Massachusetts, had orders from England to control the rebellious colonists. He made a plan to capture rebel leaders John Hancock and Samuel Adams, who were temporarily hiding out in Lexington. He also learned from his spies that the colonists were strong weapons in Concord, a small town outside of Boston. Picture it, April 18, 1775. Paul Revere and others learned of the British plan to march to Concord at night to gather and destroy the colonial weapon stores. Revere and two other men rode across the countryside, warning colonists that the regulars or redcoats were coming. It is very unlikely that they would have said, "The British are coming." At the time, colonists still considered themselves British. At dawn, the British troops arrived in Lexington and saw around 70 militiamen gathered on the town green. The militiamen were heavily outnumbered against the 700 British soldiers. The commander of the militiamen ordered the men to hold their fire. John Parker, a commander of the militiamen, is reported to have told his men, "Stand your ground, don't fire unless fired upon. But if they mean to have a war, let it begin here." Then a shot rang out. The British soldiers fired several rounds at the militiamen, and when the smoke cleared, 8 militiamen were dead. No redcoats died at the confrontation. The British soldiers continued to Concord to seize the colonists' weapons and ammunition. They were not aware that the majority of the arms were already hidden or destroyed. Hundreds of Concord militiamen gathered at the North Bridge, which was being defended by the British soldiers. The British fired at the militiamen first, and the militiamen returned fire. This exchange is known as the shot heard around the world. After searching Concord for several hours, the British soldiers started their march back to Boston. Unfortunately for them, around 2,000 militiamen had gathered in the area, and more were arriving by the minute. They fired at the British soldiers from behind buildings, trees, and walls. The British soldiers were fired upon for 18 miles on their march back to Boston. At the end of the day, on April the 19th, 1775, around 250 British soldiers were killed or wounded, while 90 militiamen were killed or wounded. This action by the militiamen proved that the colonists were willing to stand up to England, the most powerful army in the world. This was just the spark that needed to begin the American Revolution. This is Concord's North Bridge. And again, you'll follow the directions here to cut out and put these on the timeline. And again, and it should look something like this. If you are not able to cut them out, to print and cut them out, then you will have to type them over here for me, okay? Have a good day, guys.